Welcome students of Form 1. In this video, I'm going to explain more about the different type of Caribbean family structures that you can find all around the Caribbean. We are talking about chapter 1, paragraph 4, and we are talking about page 20. Talking about page 20, and we're talking about paragraph 4, family and kinship. And referring to the learning outcomes of paragraph 4, chapter 1, we are in particular looking at the second learning outcome, and that is identify family structures found in the Caribbean. When you look at the learning outcomes, we're doing this one right now. And I've told you guys there are different families in the Caribbean. There are extended families, where the grandfather and grandmother live in the same dwelling or close by. We have single mother families, where one of the parents died, or one of the parents is absent, or one of the parents is working abroad. And there are also sibling families, where also the two parents are absent, they've passed away, or they're also working abroad. And this sibling family you also find more than average in the Caribbean, I would say. I've known students of my own that were where the parents were not present. They were abroad working in the Netherlands or in Bonaire, and the siblings had to take care of each other. So the oldest one has the most responsibility to take care of the others. What is a family? We talked about this before. A family is a group of people who are related. Related, familia. You are related in one way or another. That can be a bigger family, but they are related in one way or another. And the family in the Caribbean is quite important because families produce new members and new citizens for society. Families produce new members and citizens for society. Sociedad. Ciudadano de sociedad. So we have a society with all kinds of different people, men, women, young, old, different backgrounds where they were born, different religions and cultures, with all kinds of different ways of looking at life. Also, in Curacao and in the Caribbean, we have people from European descent, people from Asian descent, people from Indian descent, people from Afro-Caribbeans, from African descent, all living together in relative small countries. And what parents do is bring them up to such a way that they understand the values, the norms, and the acceptable behavior of society. For instance, what to do during carnival, or what to do during certain feasts, what to do when you take the public transport, how to greet other people, what kinds of behavior are accepted, and what kinds of behavior are not accepted. We're talking about comportación aceptable. And the families make sure that people learn about what is the norm, what is the comportación aceptable, what is the acceptable behavior. So parents are very important. But we have different family types. One of the family types is the nuclear family. The nuclear family is usually a father and a mother, and this is also important. Usually, most of the time, his father and the mother live in the same dwelling. In other words, they have the same house where the mother, the father, and the children live together. A father and a mother together with their children, and the members usually live together in one household. The idea of the nuclear family was brought by the Europeans to the Caribbean, where the father had to work, when the female had to do the household, the children had to go to school, and a typical nuclear household is an ideal brought to the Caribbean by the Catholic Church or sometimes Protestant churches during colonial times. And this is the most common family structure that you can find in the Caribbean, but there are also a few others that are also pretty common. Another pretty common family structure in the Caribbean is an extended family. Extended family includes members from different generations. So not only the parents, but often also the grandparents. It's possible even uncles and aunties, tio e tanchi, e abuela, e tauela. Yes, and it can also include a wider kinship of relations, for example, aunts, uncles, and cousins. People of extended families do not always share the same home, but if they don't, often they live close by. So in the Caribbean, we have sometimes, and also in Curacao, I've experienced this myself. I've heard about it, I've seen it, that you have like a piece of ground. You have different houses on that piece of ground, and the extended family lives there. So your uncle and auntie has a house, your grandfather, grandmother has a house, but living close together. For instance, I've had a neighbor, they had a house, they had children, but one part of the house was made especially for the grandmother, where the grandmother could live. So we have an extended family, so-called extended family that extends beyond a nuclear family. It is more than just a nuclear family. And it is pretty common. Just look around, ask around. It's pretty common in Curacao too. That doesn't say that like everybody has an extended family, but you see it like more than, for instance, than you would see it in the Netherlands, where I come from. Then the single parent family. The single parent family. If there is only one parent present, the family is known as a single parent family. And in most cases, the single parent is the mother. And then papiamento es quita mayor soltero. Yeah, mayor soltero. That means single parent. Sometimes it happens when the mother dies, or the mother is working in another country, or the mother is not connected to the family anymore. It does happen, but in most cases, the single parent would be the mother. And this is also pretty common on the island of Curacao, or island too, in Mayor Soltero. Then the sibling-headed household. It's not common, but it does happen, and I've seen it. Known sibling heads of households that would lead a family, that would live together with their brothers. Sibling, taun ruman. It can be your sister, ruman muhe, or your brother. It can be your brother, ruman homber. Yes, and in a sibling family, the parents have passed away, they died, or the parents are working in Bonaire, or in the Netherlands, or Aruba, or somewhere else. Perhaps there is some financial connection with the parents, or some contact, or they have deceased, or they have died, but to a large degree, the siblings are responsible for their family, and mainly the oldest sibling or the two oldest siblings are responsible for the finances, for raising their little brothers or sisters, for getting them correct education, for paying the bills, and so on. The sibling, think papiamento da Roma. Yes, so we call this a sibling-headed household. So the correct name for this would be the sibling-headed household. Beautiful. Or in other words, sibling families. And another word for sibling would be human. And also, it's not common in the Caribbean, but it does happen. In the blended families. Blended families are formed when a man and woman join together. So far, pretty normal, I would say. But it is important, they already have children. And how come? from previous relationships. This is pretty common in the Netherlands. I've known it also to happen in Curacao in the Caribbean. I've known students who have a blended family. A blend is to mix, botar join, outra família. And a man and a woman, they marry, or they are in a common law union. They have some kind of relationship together, a union, but they already have children from previous relationships, whether that are marriages or not. Children in blended families, become half siblings. That is, half brothers and half sisters to one another. Like biologically speaking, they are half sisters, half brothers, half sisters. Sometimes they regard each other as like real sisters, like mentally and emotionally there's no difference. But sometimes they call each other by their names, and sometimes they don't see each other as sisters or brothers at all. Because, for instance, when these families are formed very late, for instance, when a man and a woman meet very late, or the two people, it's less likely that they think of each other as a brother and a sister. Yes? So it depends a bit when the families are formed. When children are younger, you're of course more likely to regard each other as a man, as a brother and a sister. But legally and biologically speaking, they are half brothers and sisters, of course. Yes? And sometimes it can be complicated because is my stepdad my new dad? How do I regard myself to my stepdad and my biological dad? How do I connect with my bigger family? And suddenly I have to share the attention from my dad or my mom with other children. So it can be complicated sometimes. And the family size also grows from having perhaps two children, having a new relationship with a new man or a woman, and you suddenly you have a bigger family, and often also a complexer family actually. And the last one, people can adopt children who have lost their own parents. So adoption families, people can adopt children who have lost their own parents or who cannot live with their parents for any reason. For instance, your parent is has not been a very good parent, did things that are not correct and not legal, mistreated you, are emotionally not suited to be a parent, and then there is a possibility to get adoption parents, and adoption parents can get, of course, adoption children. So people can adopt children who have lost their own parents or who cannot live with their own parents for any reason. People can adopt them. And this could also be combined with a nuclear family, of course. They become part of the nuclear family or the extended family. Yes, so adopt children who have lost their own parents, they died in one way or another, or they cannot live with their parents for any reason. So this is also a way of creating a family, even a nuclear family, I would say. So this is my video about family and kinship, to be found in paragraph 1.4 and to be found on page 20, and identify family structures found in the Caribbean. I hope you found this video quite helpful. Don't forget to subscribe below so that you can ring the bell when I've made a new video. If you have a question or a point of improvement, yeah, mi sa mi papiamentu mi pronunciación por mío, yeah, mi tasinha mi papiamentu, pero quiero botar un tip para un palabra novo o un otra palabra para el concepto nanaki, yudami, mi tasinha papiamentu tur video y tur dia. Yeah. So if you have questions below, ask them. If you have points of feedback or suggestions, please let them know either by posting it below, giving some feedback, or asking it during class. Enjoy your day. and I hope to see you soon during my lessons at SPU Sky Pre-Universitario.